Okay, I am freshly showered and packing. I'm getting ready for a camping trip. It's a process. It's our first camping trip of the year, so it's always a lot more in for our first trip because I haven't stocked the camper for the year for the summer season. And so I did all of that stuff, at least the majority of it. I have to grab a couple things like a heater because a little space heater because it's not supposed to be very warm part of the weekend that we're going to be there. So I need to grab that and like gather up the dog stuff. But I wanted to take you along with me while I try to figure out which projects to take with me this weekend. So we're going to be there for 4 nights and 4 days, 3 nights. Yeah. And unfortunately, tonight and tomorrow, so our first day and a half, it's not supposed to be nice. It's supposed to be rainy. And so I'm wondering how much time I'm actually going to be spending in the camper. When we camp, we typically don't spend any time in the camper other than sleeping and then in and out. But if it's raining all day, yeah, I'm probably going to be in the camper. I'm, of course, going to take my knitting projects. And I wasn't going to take my ranunculus, but I'm almost done on the arm. And the reason I don't want to take that sweater is because I do not want it to get all stinky with campfire. I actually personally really like the smell of campfire, but I don't want it stuck in the fibers of that sweater. I don't want that. So typically what I do is I take some socks to work on while I sit around the campfire. I'm also going to take my crochet blanket because I feel like that would be a really easy project to work on. And then I was also thinking that lately I've just really been in the mood to embroider. So I would like to maybe take an embroidery project and get started on. I think it would be a good time to start on something like that because I'm going to be out of my normal routine. Typically, my normal routine is a lot of work and a little relaxation. So during that relaxation time, I'm always grabbing my knitting because it's just easy and I just pick up from where I left off. So I thought maybe if I take an embroidery project with me and get it started, maybe it wouldn't feel so overwhelming to start one. I know, compared to being at home and starting it. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody else. So I think what I'm going to do is I have a couple embroidery kits right here. And then I also have some downstairs in my little like craft room or our studio or whatever. And so I think I'm going to figure that out. I also have lots of embroidery floss that I've just picked up at the thrift stores over the years. And yeah, I don't know. Do you guys want to come along with this? Hi, Mid. There's my pup, one of them. We're gonna get stuff gathered. I don't really have time to do this, but I thought, this might be a fun thing to vlog about. Okay, so let me show you what I have as far as the embroidery goes. I have this kit. This is supposed to be a complete kit. It has everything in it, which is very appealing to me. This is a kit that I actually won in a giveaway, and it's really cute. However, for me, it really gives off Christmassy vibes. The bird just looks very Christmassy, so I don't think I feel like working on that right now. I also have this. This is supposed to be able to be done in a weekend. Leisure Arts makes this kit. I think I picked this up at Michael's or maybe even Walmart. I don't remember. I got this a couple of years ago. And then what the kits, so these aren't actually kits. They're printed. They're like the printed portion. They're the picture printed onto fabric. They're from Clementine Pattern Company. I don't know if this company is actually still in like if they're still making these patterns and such and kits. But they did a big sale. And so I picked up a bunch of these. Now this is, let me show you because I have one that's already, it was shipped differently, so it's already open. It comes on the paper, or not the paper, the fabric. The design comes printed on. This one says rejoice in the Lord always. So it's this little design here, except I must have spilled something on it because it's watermarked. That's all these come with. So all of these come with the printed pattern on fabric, and then you have to supply everything else, which is not a problem for me. So there's this one. This is so cute. I feel like maybe I want to take this one. I think I might take, my heart is leaning towards this one. It's really cute. And then I have a couple of seasonal ones. I thought I had a fall one, but maybe I didn't purchase that, or maybe it is somewhere else. So this is the Christmas one. And then this is I would say this is summer because the things are already growing in the garden. The corn is already up. I don't think this is the spring one, but they produced one for each season. And I actually thought I had each of the seasons. So I don't know if I do have some of these downstairs in my cupboard still or what. Maybe I'm just thinking I did. Maybe that was a nice thought, but I never did it. Which, as you can see, that's good that I never did it because I got a lot here to work on. So I think I'm actually leaning towards taking one of these kits or patterns. So down below, even though this does not come with like the hoop or the needle or any of the embroidery floss, it tells you the color suggestions. And I think that might be DMC thread that they suggest. So it kind of gives you a little, it's cute. They give you like a little handwritten instruction thing on which stitches to use on what portions of the pattern. And I am not a proficient embroiderer at all. I've only done little bits here and there. So what I'm going to do is I have a little book. Let me actually grab it. Okay, so I purchased this several years ago. It's just a little tulle spiral bound book. It's pretty small. I mean, a nice size. And inside it gives you like all the basic information on embroidery at the beginning, and then it shows you how to do different stitches. I'm going to take this with me because where we're camping, my internet connection is extremely spotty, so I don't want to have to rely on YouTube to figure these stitches out. Now, I will say that I sometimes do struggle with diagrams, with figuring out what a diagram is trying to tell me as far as like, I don't know, my brain just doesn't always get it. But she also, in this book, the author of this book this is a really simple stitch, but I'm just going to show you, like she gives a diagram and then she also gives you step-by-step instructions as well. So hopefully that will be helpful when I'm trying to figure out what a stem stitch is. I have no idea what a stem stitch is. Okay, so I have this book, which I think I'm going to take too, just in case I have to figure out a stitch that's not in this book. I'm going to have this one. This is very extensive. It has all kinds of stitches in it. So this is definitely going to be a more exhaustive resource than the little book. Okay, then I have another non-knitting and crocheting option to take. And I'm very tempted to take this one because I actually have a lot of this project already done. It's just been shelved for a while. So back in the day of blogging, I always used to read Alicia Paulson's blog, which is Posie. I think it's Posie. And I had purchased, she does a lot of embroidery. She does all kinds of crafting. She's very inspiring. She doesn't really post on her blog much anymore. I think the last time she posted was October of last year. But I had purchased kits to make these little softies, and I had made these many years ago. Lily was much younger then. Lily's 19. So now I've had these done for a while. So these are all hand stitched. Everything is done with hand stitching, which is really nice. I like that the slowness of hand stitching. I think I may have used my sewing machine to sew the clothing. I can't remember. Honestly, I think I probably did because I'm looking at the stitching and it's like really close. The stitches are really close together. So I'm thinking I did actually use my sewing machine for the clothing. But I had purchased another kit. After I made these, I had purchased another kit for the mouse. And I started it pretty much as soon as I got it. And then I dropped it. I didn't drop it. I just stopped working on it at some point, and I don't know why that is. I'm trying to find the picture of the mouse. She's super cute. Here she is. Miss Phyllis Mouse. So I have the body pieces all, I had cut them out. I had hand stitched them all together, arms, legs, ears. So I need to stitch this together, stuff it, and then I need to make the boots. I need to make the clothing, and I need to knit her little leg warmers. I think that's all. Yeah, that's the only knitted object that this one gets. And then I also need to embroider on the facial features and the little whiskers and everything. I don't know if I want to hand stitch the dress that this mouse is wearing. So I could do that. This is a kit that's meant to be hand stitched, but with the other ones, I did stitch the dresses up on my sewing machine. It's just a lot faster. No, actually, I'm reading this and she says she is using her sewing machine for the clothing. So I think, yeah, I probably won't take this now. Unless I just take the boots and the leg warmers, which is a possibility. So that is another non-knitting option. So I'm going to take maybe I'm going to do the Phyllis kit. I'll take that, the mouse kit, and do what I can with that without a sewing machine. And then I'm going to take one of these Clementine pattern kits. I'll take the embroidery book, and I have like 3 sock whips right now that I should take and finish, or at least work on. So let's look at those. Let's look at my whips that I could actually take and work on around the campfire. I have these projects all here. And let me show you real quick. I'm not going to get into any extensive talk about them, but these are all projects that literally are so close. So I have these socks, which are a Summerly sock. It's the Color Work Cuff Club, I think. And these are the January. This is the January pattern. I just have to finish the toe. That needs to come with me. It'll feel so good to knock that off of my to-do list. And then I have this pair of socks that I'm working on for Brad. And I've been working on these since right after Christmas because I actually knit him a pair for Christmas and they ended up being too small on him. So I gave them to Lily's boyfriend, and then I told Brad I would knit him another pair. So this, I just need to graft the toe shut. And then I have a little bit more to work on this. I'm getting ready to start the heel flap on this one. So these are going for sure. Then I have another patterned sock here that I don't remember the name of the pattern. But it's a beautiful pattern. I talked about it in one of my previous podcast episodes. It's a nice textured pattern. And I don't have the pattern in the bag because I actually have it on my phone. It's not one that I needed to print out. So I just look at my phone whenever I need to, actually I memorized it, but it's been months since I've worked on this sock. So I'm going to have to go back to the pattern and, reintroduce my brain to that. So I should take these. I should get back into the groove. Whenever I'm doing something that's patterned, I put it down for a while, I start to get intimidated about picking it back up because I have to find my place in the pattern. But this is going to be easy. I think this was maybe like a 4-row repeat. I don't even know if it was that many rows. Might have been. I can't remember now. I just need to find my place again in the pattern. And so I'm going to take these. So that's 3 pairs of socks to take. And then the last thing I thought about taking, but I don't think I'm going to, although I would really like to finish these. These are the winglet mitts that I've been working on for way too long. That is so tiny looking. It's pretty. It's got the moth on it. That looks so tiny. I mean, that I have like smaller hands, but I'm looking at this and it literally looks like a child's size. It fits though. It just looked so tiny. So these are the winglet mitts, and I forget the designer name. But you know what, guys? I'm going to link these patterns down below, except for the one I'm working on for Brad because that's just a vanilla sock. Aren't they pretty? I'm making this out of pellet, Knit Picks pellet, and the color is 2400. It doesn't have a name on the thing. So I am like, I'm going to have to find where I am in this one, and it might be a little bit more challenging. I should just take these. I'm taking all of them. I just made up my mind. I'm taking all of them because I'm going to be camping. I'm going to be out of my normal home distractions. And so maybe I'll be able to like focus on the pattern and be able to figure out where I am. And then once I figure out where I am and get restarted, it'll be super easy for me to then just forge forward. Because that's what happened with this as well. Like I stopped and I laid it down for a while. And then I forgot where I was in the pattern. And so now I feel intimidated because I don't want to have to take the time to pick it up and figure out where I'm at. I'm going to take all 4. Is that crazy? The really crazy thing about this is that I have a 5-month-old puppy. She's 5 months old today. So realistically, am I even going to have any time to relax? I don't know. She's literally like having a very busy toddler who gets into everything. So I'm taking all these projects, but I don't know how much time I'm actually going to get to work on them because it's going to be an interesting situation. You have to have your dogs leashed in this park. It's an Army Corps campground, and it's really nice. It's where we always go. It's very nice. Lots of trees. There's a creek there. It's like quiet. The camp spots are very private because of all the trees. But we've always had old dogs when we've camped because we started camping in 2019 or 2018. So our dogs were already older. This will be the first time taking a puppy camping, and Tilly's not used to being leashed for extended period of times. She will go on a leash, but she was going to have to be tied at our camp spot the whole time. And it's just I feel a little stressful about that, but I thought I'm not even going to let myself worry about it because it may end up not being a big deal. And if it is a lot, then we'll figure out if there's something different we can do when we go on our next camping trip. We have 4 trips planned for this summer, 4 camping trips. So we're going to this is the experiment. This is an experimental trip. But anyway, okay, so that's what I got there. So I'm going to take those 4 projects and I'm going to take my ranunculus to work on either in the camper, or we have an 1.5-hour drive to the campground. So I could even work on that in the truck. Although again, realistically, Tilly will probably be on my lap and that's going to probably be impossible to do. So, but I'm going to take it anyway because I'm so close to being done. I'm like halfway through the sleeve and I'd really love to finish that up. I was trying so hard to figure out a new cast on to take with me because I really want to knit another summer top. I have had so many patterns that I've wanted to knit, but I do not, I can't settle on one pattern in yarn. I did a swatch yesterday for the summer, is it summer solstice tee? I talked about it. All of these patterns I've talked about recently. So I did a swatch for that and I was having a hard time getting gauge. So I'm like, okay, forget this. I'm going to move on to the next project. So then I started swatching for the Pine Creek top, which I was like, I was using yarn that I didn't buy for that purpose, but it was the right weight of yarn. So I thought, well, I'm going to try it. And then I wasn't happy with that. So I scratched that. So then I swatched for, what was the third one? It was it was a color work. So it was the Early Bloomer tee, which is like a really pretty color work. Oh, and I swatched for the Tulipa tee or the Tulipa sweater. And then I realized that that sweater is not going to be a good one for a summer yarn. It's going to need, that pattern was written using yarn that was merino yarn. And so I realized I am not going to knit this in a like cotton, in a plant-based fiber, because the colorwork's not going to turn out. It's not going to be grippy enough. The plant-based fiber is not going to be grippy enough for this particular colorwork motif. And so I scratched that quickly, like very early on in the swatch. And then I started swatching for the early bloomer tee, which is meant, it is a colorwork tee, but it's meant to be worked with like a plant-based yarn. That one, I realized, I think that's a DK weight yarn, and I realized I wasn't going to have enough of yarn. So when I placed the order for all that drops yarn, I should have ordered more drops bell, is what I should have done, because I'm realizing a lot of the summer tee patterns are made with DK weight yarn, and I'm going to have to like mess with the numbers and do a little bit of calculating to use the yarns that I have for the sweaters that I want to make. And so I'm not going to worry about taking anything like that with me this weekend, because that's too much work and I ran out of time. Okay, so I need to stop talking now because the time is ticking away, and I need to actually, I haven't even packed my clothing. This is what happens when I go anywhere. My knitting and crafty stuff is more important to me than packing my clothing. So I need to get myself moving. I need to get my crafty stuff packed into a bag, and then I need to get my clothing and all of my toiletries and stuff like that and get them taken out to the camper so that I actually have clothes for this weekend. So I'm gonna go work on that stuff. Okay, I think I'm gonna actually do a video sometime about my favorite knitting tools. I'm a very simple girl, actually, when it comes to tools of any kind. But most of my knitting tools are kept right in this leather pouch. So my uncle, he actually passed away a couple years ago, but when after he retired, he made leather. He did like leather work. And I had asked him if he could make me a couple of pouches, and that way I could keep like my little knitting notions in them. And so he made me 3. And this is the one that I use for my, like the most. I have another one that doesn't really go in all, like this one travels with me everywhere. And it just has little snaps on it, and it is 100% leather, and he stitched it. But it's just simple. It's a little pouch, and I keep my scissors, which I don't know how I ended up getting 3 pairs of scissors in here, but somehow I did. I literally have 3 pairs of these tiny little scissors, which is way too many. I need to take one of them out because it just actually takes up too much room. But then I also have light bulb, little markers, and then I have a few cute progress keepers, a little leaf, and then I also have just like my beginning of round markers of like various ones. So if I'm doing something, a sweater that's going to have more than one marker in it, I will use this special one. I have a couple like this for the beginning of the round, and then the rest of them will just be plain little markers like this. And that way, like for instance, if you're working on a lace sweater or something that you need to have various, or if you're doing a raglan and you're trying to mark off where you're going to be doing your raglan increases. And then I have multiple needles to weave in my ends. It's focusing on my face, not on that. So yeah, that's what I keep in here. I'm going to leave, actually, I'm just going to put 2 of these scissors in. This goes with me. This goes from project bag to project bag. Ideally, I would have one of these for every project, but that would be a bit too much, I think. So I have just learned to always know where this little pouch is because it goes with me, and I just chuck it in whatever bag I'm taking with me out of the house. And so it's nice because it stays shut and it's leather, so the scissors aren't going to poke me. They're not going to like poke through or anything. So yeah, I love this little thing. I'm really glad that I asked him to make a couple of these for me and that I have them, and it reminds me of him. I just remembered I'm also going to throw in the tape measure and my little notebook. This is where I keep my notes for my knitting because I need to update my ranunculus page. Ideally, I should be doing that as I actually knit it, which I do sometimes, but this time I did not. And I want to take this so I can measure the length of the body, the length of the sleeves, all that, because that way when I make my next ranunculus, I will have all those notes. Sorry, I'm getting very distracted. My sister's texting me and it's popping up at the top of my screen. She's doing a couple errands for me very kindly because she was running into town and that was going to save me from having to run in. So anyway, I'm going to take this so I can measure, take my notebook so I can write that all down. And then future Amber will greatly appreciate the notes and the time I took to write all that down because I really like the fit of this ranunculus. And I actually measured length rather than stitches because my gauge might be different in the next yarn that I use. So I like the length of my sleeves and I like the length of the body of this one. So I'm going to measure that and mark that rather than counting rows of stitches. Okay, so I came down to my little craft area, my room, and this is where I keep my embroidery floss. So this stuff, actually, all of this was found at a thrift store, at thrift stores. So I paid $3 for this and $3 for this one, which is also chock full. And then this is a variety. So I've purchased some of this floss brand new, but I've also purchased some of it at thrift stores and yard sales. And so I have that. And then I also have this. Like I have so much embroidery floss. I'm not going to take all of this. I'm actually going to pick out colors, which I left the pattern upstairs. I'm going to pick out colors and just take those colors with me rather than taking all of this. Okay, so now I just need to, so they give the color names. Like I said, I think this is DMC floss. Or they give the color numbers, but because these are thrifted, well, like this particular person wrote all of the numbers on, but I don't think that most of them are like that. So I'm going to just kind of look at what the picture shows, the name, and then, oh, look, I might get lucky. Whoever did this, and probably this one, because I think it came from the same person, also marked all of their little things with color numbers. So that might actually, I might get lucky, guys. That would be awesome. Okay, so I need to do this right now. came up here we got up here late afternoon and spent the whole evening in the camper because it was pouring down rain. So we set up our camper in the rain, got completely soaked and cold because it was not warm. And then we came in and spent the whole evening, which actually was fine with us. We played cards, and then Brad was so exhausted he ended up falling asleep with Tilly on his chest, and I sat here at the table and I cross-stitched. I started a new cross-stitch. I started the one that I brought, and I actually got all the words, like all the lettering done on it, and so I feel like I did a fairly good job on it, so that was exciting. Today this morning we got up and the sun came out for like a minute, but it was cold, but not too bad, but the temperature has just dropped. So it's now like 40, somewhere between 43 and 45 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's been drizzling off and on all day. So we went to an antique store this morning, and I found a couple of cottage decor books, which I love cottage style decorating. That's basically what I do at home. So I bought those because they were only a couple of dollars each, and I found a pitcher for my flowers this year because I always plant lots of flowers in my garden, and so I found this pitcher for like $8 and it was really pretty. I don't know where it is now. And then I also found a pottery mug that I bought as a gift to put back for somebody for Christmas. And then that was just us girls this morning. Came back, ate lunch, and then Brad and I went to an herb and fiber festival. I'm not sure why it's called an herb and fiber festival because it did not, well, okay. There was one vendor there that was a spinner, and she was selling just, I think she had like 4 skeins of yarn, but then she had some woolen socks and some felted soap, and then the rest of the vendors had brought in like plants and herbs and native, like plants that are native to our area here in Western Pennsylvania. So that was really cool. I was able to actually find all of the herbs. I think I found all of the herbs that I wanted. The only thing that I didn't find was I so wanted to find an okra plant or a couple of okra plants. I love okra, but up here in the north, we like the grocery stores don't carry it. I have to go down into this area in the city that has different ethnic grocery stores, and there's one there that the one Asian market has okra. That's the only place I can find it, and that's an hour drive, and it's always a busy area of the city, and I have to find parking and pay for so I just don't do it unless I'm down there already. I'm not going to make a special trip for okra. I have tried to grow it 3 times, 3 years in my garden, and I think the one summer out of 3 plants I got 30 actual pieces of okra. So I've never had success growing okra. We have a shorter growing season, so I've always started them from seed myself in under our grow lights and then transplanted them out. But I didn't start any seeds, as I've already said, and so I didn't. I was hoping to find an okra plant, but I didn't. But it's okay. I got the rest of my herbs I wanted to plant, and I was really excited because I found holy basil or tulsi, which I love tulsi tea, and I just always buy it dried and then make my tea out of like the bulk dried leaves. So this year I'm actually really excited because I have 4 little plants. I don't know if they'll all take, but I have 4 little plants, and I'm gonna be able to plant those in my garden. And then I want to try to make some I'll dry it, and then some of my other herbs, and make some tea blends to have. Because I like tulsi with, I like it with rose. I like it with hibiscus, which I don't have hibiscus. That's another thing I've had a hard time. I tried growing that once, but I just don't think we have a long enough growing season because I can never get it to the point where I actually get the calyx, which is the part that's left over when the petals fall off. So I just don't know that I can actually grow hibiscus. The hibiscus you would put in tea. So anyway, I am sitting here, and let me show you. Hold on a second. I got the pup on my lap. So I'm working on my crochet blanket currently. And this is actually, I did like 4 rounds on Brad's socks this morning while we were sitting out at the campfire drinking our coffee, because it was warmest. The warmest part of the day was this morning when we first got up. And then we ended up leaving and doing stuff all day. So this is the first time I'm sitting down to work on anything. And so I have this much done. I don't think that's much more than what I had done yesterday. But I want to show you what I got done on my cross stitch, because I got all of the lettering done. And I was so proud of myself. Because like I said, I'm not a big, or this isn't cross stitch. I cross stitch more than I embroider. That's why I said that. So I got A Joyful Heart is Good Medicine completely done. I feel like I did a decent job. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a big embroiderer, so this could be like not good in somebody else's eyes, but for me, I'm happy with it, and it's going to be in a frame on my wall. So I'm probably going to do the teacup next, because I think all this lettering was done with backstitch, and I think the teacup uses either backstitch or running stitch. It probably uses backstitch. So I'm going to do that next, I think. And then like these, all of the leaves use daisy, I think it's called daisy stitch. And so I know how to do that, but I haven't done it for so long. So it'll be, I don't know. I'm not worried about it. I sat here at the table until, it was at like 11:15 last night, and because I just wanted to get all the lettering done. I was listening to my audiobook and sitting here, and everybody else Brad was in bed, the dogs were sleeping. And yeah, I had a really good time working on this. I don't know that we'll really be sitting out around the campfire much tonight, because it is really cold. Brad and I spent the majority, we spent all of the day up until about 3:30, 4 o'clock outside. So I was pretty chilled to my bones, as was he. But we have a nice camper that we could come in and turn the heat on. So I'm warmed up now. And I have this snuggly little puppy on my lap. And Mitty's snoring on the couch behind me, or on the other side of me. So Tilly does not sleep in bed with us, but this is her first time camping, and she was very scared last night in the dark camper, and she kept jumping up into bed with us. I had her bed literally right beside my side of the bed, which is where it is at home, and I think everything was new, and she kept jumping up, like, I'm not kidding, 10 times. We would put her down, and finally we were just like, it was midnight, and we're just like, just forget about it. So she came up and cuddled up next to me, and I was like, oh, she's so warm. It was cold, and we didn't turn our furnace on, so it got really chilly. Like, we didn't turn it on to sleep with it on. And I did not bring my hot water bottle, because I guess I didn't realize how cold it was going to be. Like, I only brought one pair of jeans. I brought shorts and I brought leggings, but I didn't pack appropriately for this trip. So if I would have known how cold, I would have brought my hot water bottle. I use it every night at home because we run the air conditioning, and Brad likes it cooler in the house at night. So she was like my little hot water bottle last night, because she's all like cozy and warm. She's so snuggly and affectionate. So that is what we've been doing today. And because we're not going to, I don't think we're going to really sit out around the fire very long, if at all, other than to cook. I'll probably have more crafting time tonight, and I'm really itching to get back to the embroidery, because I really enjoyed just doing something different last night. It was fun, and the fact that it was going well was also helpful. Hey guys, it is now Wednesday, so we've been home from camping since Monday afternoon. I don't think the lighting is the greatest right now. It's like mid-morning. I'm out on our back deck. Do you hear the birds chirping? It's beautiful. Our weather did a complete flip-flop. It went from 30 some degrees to I think it's gonna be on like high 80s today. So yesterday I spent the entire day gardening and I finished up this morning. I have just a little tiny patch left, which I need to go buy some more zinnia seeds. I feel like, let me move this. The lighting, I'm getting too much backlight. I don't even know if that's what you call it, but that's what I'm calling it. I just wanted to show you real quick my project updates, and then I'm going to wrap up this vlog. So let's get started because I have a busy day today. So I finished both socks. One was already done when I went. The other one I just had to finish up the toe. So these are done. This is the Summerly Color Work Cuff Club. So done. I made progress on Brad's sock. That's not Brad's sock. That is a different sock. I ended up not working on that textured sock at all. So this one did not get anything done to it. But now I'll be able to pick that back up because I have my color work sock done. And then this is Brad's sock. I had already gone with one complete and I was just getting ready to start the heel whenever we left. So I had the heel completely done. I actually did all the gusset decreases and now I'm just knitting in the round for the foot. This lighting is horrible. Hold on. Okay, I think that might be a little bit better. My ranunculus, I got the entire sleeve except for maybe about an inch done. So before I start the ribbing, So I have about another inch of stockinette to go and then I will do the ribbing and then this will be done. So that's super exciting. I love this sweater so much. I loved working with this Kelborn Woolens DK or Germantown DK. I love Kelborn Woolens. I have used various other bases of theirs. I'm trying to think. Is it Camper and Scout? I've used Scout. Yeah, anyway, I can't remember all the bases, but I love their yarn and they are a Pennsylvania-based business, small business, women owned. So that's really awesome as well. But I'm loving this. And so it'll be ready to go in the fall. And then I got some work done on my crochet blanket. This is the Cottage Ripple one by Attic 24. Yeah, Attic 24. So let's see. When I went camping, I think I was like just starting one of these too. So I got that. I was on one of these. I think I was just starting into this in the truck. I can't remember. If I would look back at the footage, I would see. So I got all of this done, which is not that much considering that crochet is actually really fast. But I was working on all kinds of things. This was definitely a multi-craftual trip for me. Because then, okay, so I did the knitting, I did the crochet. I did not work on my Posy stuffy kit, and I did not work on my winglet mitts, but I did do quite a bit of embroidery and really, really enjoyed it. And so this is the embroidery kit that well, it wasn't a kit, it was just the pattern. And so I got the lettering done, the steam coming off of the tea mug, and then the spoon. And this was, it really like ignited a flame for embroidery. I will say that I had a really hard time with this stem stitch using the books. I found that I'm just not good with using books for certain like diagrams and stuff. Just the instructions, I had two different books and they both were saying a little bit of different things. And then my internet was horrible. Like I didn't really have internet at all, but I was so desperate to do this that I was walking all around and I got like one bar and I was able to get a video on or get onto YouTube and I watched several different clips, and it seems that a lot of people do stem stitch differently. So I found one that I liked and made sense to me, and so I got that done. And then the spoon is also done in stem stitch. So I think it looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with my embroidery. But that is it for, I just wanted to show you really quickly what I got done. I'm actually going to need to wrap this up because my phone is about to run out of space. Thank you guys for coming along with me on my crafty camping trip. Have a great day. We'll see you next time.